great haunted house.
Like, oh, well, wasn't that spooky?
Books. 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 Books.
Hello and welcome to Didn't Read It, the podcast that definitely isn't losing its mind.
No. No. All
Never.
good. All good.
Everything is fine, actually.
Yes.
We do not need any laudanum.
No.
Please
Well,
send us laudanum.
yes. What do you got? Let me try it.
I am your host, Grace Todd, and with me this week is a returning bestie, babe of the pod,
Babe.
Lee.
Thank you.
Hello, darling.
Oh my god.
It's spooky season.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ghosts and ghouls and goblins.
All of those things and more. And we've assembled here today to discuss the real haunted house.
America? No.
Well, yes.
Yes.
But also the patriarchy.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Spooky.
Spooky.
Yes.
This is going to be another one of our hiatusodes.
Stop trying to make hiatusodes happen.
It's not going to happen.
No, it's happening. It's happening right now.
It's already
It's
happening.
a great word.
We are still on our quasi hiatus, so this is our October episode. We will be back with regular episodes in the spring, probably, unless I enjoy releasing episodes once a month too much, and then
Look,
who knows?
The future is uncertain. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Just enjoy this while you got it. Okay, we're just taking it 1 month at a time.
Take Lee's advice, everybody.
Yeah.
Lee has good advice.
YOLO.
So Lee and I, as part of our, hiatus, slight aberration from the usual format, we've come here. There we go.
Keep it.
Let's try this.
Keep it.
We've come here to discuss both the short story and film adaptation of Charlotte Perkins Gilman's immortal, spooky story, The Yellow Wallpaper.
Yay.
Yay! Now, Lee,
Yes?
what do you know about The Yellow Wallpaper? What did you know about The Yellow Wallpaper?
I was like,
before-
I read it. Was I not supposed to read it? What did I know beforehand? Nothing.
This was never assigned to you in any classes?
I don't think so. And if it was, I forgot every single thing about it,
That is fair.
including its existence.
It is very commonly assigned in, like, I think of it as a frequent flyer of, like, undergraduate women's lit
Yeah, that makes sense.
classes.
Yeah.
It's got that sort of, it is sort of one of the canonical American
Lady writing.
short stories of womanhood.
I wish I had been assigned it. It's very good.
It's a creepy story.
Creep.
Yeah.
I've had Creep by TLC stuck in my head for a while.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm not going to sing it because that would be expensive.
I think if you are singing it, it's okay.
Okay.
I think that turns it into fair use.
Then I will
because-
sing it.
Okay.
Creep. Yeah, just keep it on the down low. More of that to come.
And so I figured we would start with the story, kind of as we usually do, and then we'll talk about how this has and hasn't been brought to the screen, and then we'll just kind of talk about Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
So this will be a collaborative exercise, I suppose, which is unusual for us.
This time I did read it. Ha-ha!
Listeners, you should see how proud of herself she is.
I've been sitting on that for days. I've been like, it's called Didn't Read It, but I did read it.
Would you like to kick us off? Listener, if you haven't read The Yellow Wallpaper, we'll tell you about it as a team this time. We'll see if that's better or worse than our usual.
Yeah, I don't know. Opening a big door there. What do you want me to do? You want me to read it? You want me to read the beginning?
Sure, yeah, do it.
Isn't that what you usually do? You read the
Yeah.
first line?
Yeah, read us a passage.
Okay.
Read us a little paragraph.
Gulp. Here we go. Here's the beginning. I'm reading it now. We are...
I'm realizing now that you've never presented on this show.
Okay. It is very seldom that mere ordinary people like John and myself secure ancestral halls for the summer. A colonial mansion, a hereditary estate, I would say a haunted house and reach the height of romantic felicity, but that would be asking too much of fate. Still, I will proudly declare that there is something queer about it. Else, why should it be let so cheaply? And why have stood so long untenanted? John laughs at me, of course. But one expects that in marriage. And in the margin next to that I wrote, does one?
One does in the 1880s.
Okay. Well, that's the beginning. That's how it begins.
So our narrator and John they've moved into this sort of country estate, this slightly rundown country estate, because their own house is undergoing repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is in America, by the way.
This is in America.
In 18-something.
Yep. It's the 1880s.
1880s.
I'm assuming it's meant to be roughly contemporary with when Charlotte had the experiences in her life that inspired it.
Oh.
Which would put it in
like
the mid to late 1880s.
What do you mean? Oh, Charlotte.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, God. Okay.
And very importantly, John, the narrator's husband, is not just her husband, but also her doctor.
Womp womp.
Which is not
a great setup. Not a great situation.
Definitely not like a conflict of interest.
Would not recommend.
Not a thing that almost every medical board now agrees is a massive violation of ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good.
Don't like it.
And even more interestingly, she's unwell, but he doesn't believe that she's unwell.
But also he's prescribing her things to get better.
Yes.
But also saying that she's the only one that can make herself better, but also controlling everything she does and saying that she... Am I giving too much away?
No.
It's just, it's a lot of mixed messages from John.
John, yeah, it's a little all over the map.
Yeah.
Because one of the things she says at the beginning is, John is a physician, and perhaps, I would not say it to a living soul, of course, but this is dead paper and a great relief to my mind. Perhaps that is one reason I do not get well faster. You see, he does not believe that I am sick. And what can one do? If a physician of high standing and one's own husband assures friends and relatives that there is really nothing the matter with one but temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency, what is one to do?
Yeah, that's a lot.
And
that's a lot right there.
Yeah. I, for one, love having a man govern my health and just sort of general existence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's going great.
It's going great. And it is never said but heavily implied that one of the major sticking points here is that she has in some way been an inadequate mother.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, the story in general takes place within the narrator's mind. Mm-hmm. And then it just, twice, very briefly, it just mentions, oh, we also have a kid, but I'm kind of scared of the kid. And, I'm not a great, I don't know how to handle the kid. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, what she says is that it's a darling baby, that he's a darling baby. Such a dear baby, and yet I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous.
And then she moves on.
So whatever is the matter with her, the narrator has a strong conviction that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that her husband agrees with her, even though he does not want to tell her so, and that a substantial part of why he agrees with her is because she has failed to be a good mother.
Yeah.
And by extension, a good wife.
Yeah.
And sort of layered on top of that, sharing the house with them during the summer are a sort of
Nursemaid.
Nursemaid.
Yeah. Mary.
Wouldn't be a governess because the child's not old enough. The child's still an infant. But
Yeah.
yeah, a nursemaid named Mary. And John's sister,
Jane.
who is acting as the de facto woman of the house.
Yeah, she's described as like a housekeeper, and she never wants to be anything more in life or something. She's
a paragon of femininity,
Yeah.
right? I mean, she's doing everything that our narrator cannot manage to do.
Yeah.
And very funnily, they appeared to have misinterpreted this in the film and made the sister a servant, which is not what they mean housekeeper as in the sister is keeping house.
Yeah.
And she's
managing the house.
She's acting as the woman of the house.
Yeah.
It does not mean that the sister is like waiting tables.
Yeah. It's okay. So the setup is basically just they go to this house for the summer for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
The husband's being a doctor. He's going off and like treating patients. And the narrator is just supposed to stay in the house and like quote unquote get better. But she's not sick, but she's got to stay there to get better.
Yes.
And she's not, it's like a big old house. And he makes them stay in this room upstairs
On the third floor.
on the top floor
in the nursery.
And she's like, can't we take these nice chill rooms downstairs that go out into the garden and in the country and it's so pretty? And he's like, no, we have to stay in this room. And she's like, this room creeps me out. And he's like, that's all in your head. Anyway, you have to stay here all day.
Right. And so it's one big infantilization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she's been replaced as the woman of the house. She's been replaced as the mother figure, and she's been shut away.
Yeah.
In this, not just in this childlike role, but in this childlike space.
Yeah.
She's been confined to this nursery against her will. Not in terms of like she's not locked in, but she repeatedly asks if they can move to different rooms as the story kind of escalates, and her husband treats her like a child when she does.
Yeah, and she asks basically like, can I have visitors? No. Can I do these activities that I enjoy doing? No. And she says, personally, I believe that congenial work with excitement and change would do me good. But what is one to do? I did write for a while in spite of them, but it does exhaust me a good deal, having to be so sly about it or else meet with heavy opposition. I sometimes fancy that in my condition, if I had less opposition and more society and stimulus, but John says the very worst thing I can do is to think about my condition, and I confess it always makes me feel bad. So, like, she's just a person who's just like, I would like to see my friends and do things that interest me and go outside and do stuff. And he's like, no, that's bad for you.
Yeah, I mean, she's been infantilized quite literally. Like, a lot of time when we say someone has been infantilized, we mean that you're being treated like a child. She's being treated like a literal baby.
Yeah.
She can't read. She can't write. She's
Yeah.
not supposed to do anything.
Yeah. And the setup of the whole story is that it's like her journal entries that she has to write in secret.
Yes.
And she'll be like, oh, somebody's coming. I have to put this away.
She's doing a secret autonomy.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating, too, is that the whole time she is scolding herself, too.
Yeah.
She says, at one point she says, I get unreasonably angry with John sometimes. I'm sure I never used to be so sensitive. I think it is due to this nervous condition. But John says if I feel so, I shall neglect proper self-control. So I take pains to control myself. Before him, at least. And that makes me very tired.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's not consciously positioning herself as resisting all of this treatment, except for the secret journaling.
Mm-hmm.
She's baffled by her own inability to comply and reconcile herself to it.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
And then there's the wallpaper.
Yeah.
And so this room that she is in, it was what they say, and this is in true ghost story fashion, which one of the things I love about this story is that, as we're going to talk about, it is a very real and realistic story of a woman slowly losing her mind. It's also written, you can take it at face value as a ghost story, because there's all of these little breadcrumbs that heavily imply that someone else has been shut up in this room,
Yes.
against their will,
Yes.
for a long period of time.
Yes.
Possibly another woman.
Yes.
Because there are all of these little hints about, I don't know why the house is sitting so cheaply, and there's a whole thing about the inheritance being disputed and the two brothers, and and so this room on the third floor that she very innocently, she and John, are like, oh, it must have been a playroom.
Yeah, there's bars on the doors to keep the kids in the windows.
Yeah, there's bars on the windows, and there's
chunks missing out of the wall because the kids were playing too hard.
well, and there are rings mounted on the wall, remember, too.
Yeah.
And the bed is nailed to the floor in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
None of which is ominous at all.
No.
And then there's the wallpaper itself.
Yeah.
Which is some of the best. It is rare to see like an aesthetic problem described so thoroughly well.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, you feel this wallpaper.
So what's funny is that, I don't know, I do this a lot for some reason. Like, after I read a book, I spend a lot of time on Google image results. I don't know why. But, like, sometimes I just like to see if I really enjoyed a book, like, different adaptations of the covers and, like,
Yeah.
and so just thinking that this is such an old story, I was just like, oh, what are the different, like, cover arts throughout the years of it? And a lot of the cover arts, like, feature, yellow wallpaper with, like, a garish pattern on stuff. And I would be like, that doesn't capture it. That doesn't capture it. That's not bad enough. That kind of could be it. That looks like it. And then it's funny, too, because I saw a few where I was like, these people clearly didn't read the story. These people, didn't. But, yeah, it was fun trying to imagine, based on her very detailed description, like, what the fuck this wallpaper actually looked like.
Yeah, because it's described, the first time it's described, it says, I never saw a worse paper in my life. One of those sprawling, flamboyant patterns committing every artistic sin. It is dull enough to confuse the eye in following, pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study. And when you follow the lame, uncertain curves for a little distance, they suddenly commit suicide. Plunge off at outrageous angles. Destroy themselves in unheard-of contradictions. The color is repellent, almost revolting. A smoldering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by the slow-turning sunlight. It is a dull yet lurid orange in some places. A sickly sulfur tint in others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And throughout the story, we get a lot more description. This paper looks to me as if it knew what a vicious influence it had. There was a recurrent spot where the pattern lolls like a broken neck and two bulbous eyes stare at you upside down. I get positively angry with the impertinence of it and the everlastingness. Up and down and sideways they crawl, and those absurd, unblinking eyes are everywhere. There is one place where two breadths didn't match, and the eyes go all up and down the line, one a little higher than the other.
And so this is sort of the setup of it all, is she's stuck for an entire summer in this room with this wallpaper that to me has always been such a great metaphor for rumination. Like a problem that you cannot put down but that you cannot solve in a satisfying fashion.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what she's doing with the wallpaper, and she's just doing this for an entire summer. It's months that they're in this house.
Yeah.
And by rumination, I mean the sort of more like psychological definition of rumination, which is that like looping
over and over
thought that you can't ever seem to put down.
Well, and to me, it seems like the kind of thing that if you were just living your life and doing other stuff, every time you saw the wallpaper, you'd be like, ugh, I don't like that wallpaper. It's gross. But anyway, I have things to do. But if you have literally nothing else to do and you're just stuck, it reminds me of solitary confinement, honestly.
Yes.
And you're just stuck staring at something, You know, like if you've ever been in a waiting room for a really, really long time and you just like memorize the ceiling or stuff like that. And it's like she has no choice but to pay attention to the wallpaper because she has no other options for anything else to do. And I think that would drive anybody crazy.
And so the wallpaper becomes the central villain of this ghost story.
Well,
Well,
okay, and then a development in the wallpaper is a little bit further in. She says, this wallpaper has a kind of sub-pattern in a different shade, a particularly irritating one, for you can only see it in certain lights, and not clearly then. But in the places where it isn't faded, and where the sun is just so, I can see a strange, provoking, formless sort of figure that seems to sulk about behind that silly and conspicuous front design.
There's a woman in the wallpaper.
There's a lady in the wallpaper.
There's a lady in the wallpaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's watching, they're watching each other.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the first instance of, the first instance of hallucination is a little bit before when she is looking out the windows and she thinks that she sees people walking up and down the paths. I always fancy I see people walking in these numerous paths and arbors. But John has cautioned me not to give way to fancy in the least. That's kind of the first time when you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and it's also one of a couple of times where John seems to be very concerned about her mental health, but will not tell her he's concerned about her mental health.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, stop, silly thing.
There's another point where he is telling her how much she's improving in the house, and she's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And she starts to say, improved in body, perhaps, and he cuts her off. And it says that he glares at her so forbiddingly that she just stops talking.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think it is a little too easy for us to forget, because this kind of thing was common up through the 60s, was that doctors and women's husbands would frequently not tell them what was wrong with them. Because they didn't need to know.
Yeah. Don't you worry your pretty little head about that.
Up to and including terminal illnesses.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, they would sometimes just not tell women that they were terminally ill.
Yeah.
Because they didn't need to know, and it would worry them unnecessarily. And it was very common for women to be diagnosed with severe mental illness and also not really told about that either.
I have nothing to say. I don't know what to say to that.
So one of the things that kind of seems to be happening here is that John has ideas about what is wrong with her that he is not sharing with her.
Yeah.
And that he is much more worried about her mental health and her sanity.
Yeah.
Than he will tell her.
Yeah, that's for him to worry about. And she's just supposed to magically get better.
And to blindly trust him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So her saying that she thinks she sees people walking in the paths outside is kind of the first instance where you're like, oh, wait, what was that? Like,
excuse me?
For me, that was the first appearance of like a little unreliability in the narrator. And then this part that we just read where she sees a woman, like a figure in the wallpaper, is like, no. You see things. You're seeing things.
And she tries multiple times to get John to take her seriously, and he treats her like an overgrown child.
Well, and there's also the threat of institutionalization.
Yes.
John says if I don't pick up faster, he shall send me to Weir Mitchell. I think that's a person's name. In the fall.
It is.
It is a person's name. But I don't want to go there at all. I had a friend who was in his hand once, and she says he is just like John and my brother, only more so.
So we will talk about this more later, but
okay.
Dr. S. Weir Mitchell was the man who invented the rest cure.
Oh, no.
And who treated Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Oh, no. Oh, I love that. I love that she just put his real name in here.
Yeah, called him the fuck out.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Um,
But also not great.
yeah, and when she tries to get John to really engage with her, and this is one of those things that even every time I read this story, every single time I read this story, it fills me with absolute rage. And this is the same conversation where she tries to say that she's better in body, and then he cuts her off.
Mm-hmm.
But when she is trying to explain to him that this house is not working for her, he says, "Bless her little heart. She shall be as sick as she pleases."
In the margins, I wrote, this guy.
Makes me so angry every
Yeah.
time. But so as the weeks pass, the narrator slides further and further into both an obsessive dynamic, I guess, with the wallpaper and the woman inside of it,
Mm-hmm.
and also seems to become more and more what we would now call like clinically depressed.
Yes.
And she writes that she's having a harder time writing. She's sleeping a lot more. She's not going outside much.
Yep.
She's not sleeping at night, but a lot during the daytime.
Yeah.
Which is good and healthy, as we all know. That is a great
Mm-hmm.
dynamic to find yourself in.
Yes. One reason earlier that I said that the wallpaper isn't maybe necessarily the villain of the story, but just a character, is because her opinion of it kind of switches partway through. And it happens at this point when she says, "I'm getting really fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper, perhaps because of the wallpaper."
Yeah.
And from there, the way she talks about it kind of changes to being like, I actually kind of like this room. It's a puzzle to figure out, and I'm going to figure it out.
So she starts to identify with the woman in the wallpaper.
Yes.
And toward the end of the story, she starts to slip up, and you can't tell, and she can't tell which one of them she is referring to.
Yep. And she admits that she's basically lying to her caretakers, and she's starting to really identify more and more with the woman in the wallpaper than she is like the other like real people. Like John tells her that she has to lie down and take a nap after each meal. And she said, "It's a very bad habit, I am convinced, for, you see, I don't sleep. And that cultivates deceit, for I don't tell them I'm awake. Oh no. The fact is, I'm getting a little afraid of John. He seems very queer sometimes. And even Jenny has an inexplicable look." So she's like,
Yeah.
she is disconnected from the humans in her life, and she is connected with the wallpaper.
Yes. And
I don't blame her.
And as things escalate, she starts to believe that they know something is wrong with the wallpaper too.
But they won't admit it.
But they won't admit it, and they are
Yeah.
concealing it from her. And then the wallpaper starts to smell,
Mm-hmm.
according to her,
Mm-hmm.
which is a fascinating bit of like, it's either like the escalation of a haunting or some like excellent synesthesia.
Yeah.
I
I was thinking like it's been so visually focused for so long, and now it's taking over more of her senses.
Yeah, and it's, let's see. She says that the wallpaper makes me think of all the yellow things I ever saw. Not beautiful ones like buttercups, but old, foul, bad yellow things. But there is something else about that paper. The smell. I noticed it the moment we came into the room, but with so much air and sun, it was not so bad. Now we have had a week of fog and rain, and whether the windows are open or not, the smell is here. It creeps all over the house. I find it hovering in the dining room, skulking in the parlor, hiding in the hall, lying in wait for me on the stairs. It gets into my hair. Even when I go to ride, if I turn my head suddenly and surprise it, there is that smell. Such a peculiar odor, too. I have spent hours in trying to analyze it, to find what it smelled like. It is not bad at first, and very gentle, but quite the subtlest, most enduring odor I ever met. And then she goes on to say that she has thought seriously of burning the house down
Yeah.
to reach the smell.
I'm like, fair.
Which really sort of escalates the wallpaper into a ghost that is following her.
Yeah.
Even when she's not in the room.
Yeah.
It's with her at all times. It is this sort of miasma that is encompassing the house.
Mm-hmm. And right in that same section, we get a little more evidence that maybe this wasn't a nursery and maybe someone else was kept here, institutionalized here before. Because she just kind of adds in, there's a very funny mark on this wall, low down, near the mopboard. A streak that runs round the room. It goes behind every piece of furniture, except the bed. A long, straight, even smooch, as if it had been rubbed over and over. I wonder how it was done and who did it, and what they did it for. Round and round and round, round and round and round. It makes me dizzy. And that was kind of the time when I was like, I don't think this is a nursery.
You're like, I don't think this was done by children.
Wait a minute.
And that's followed immediately by the further escalation in sort of the next scene of her discovering that at night the woman behind the pattern shakes the wallpaper in an effort to get out.
Yeah. She's trying to escape from the pattern that keeps her held there.
And this is when it gets the sort of closing third is when it gets genuinely quite frightening.
Yeah. So she's talking about the woman in the wallpaper, and she says, and she is all the time trying to climb through, but nobody could climb through that pattern. It strangles so. I think that is why it has so many heads. They get through, and then the pattern strangles them off and turns them upside down and makes their eyes white.
So the wallpaper is now strangling heads of things that are trying to escape it.
Yeah.
Which is a good and healthy thing to be exposed to.
Mm-hmm. And then the next section is just full-blown hallucinations.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we hit what I think is the real kind of crux point of the story. So she becomes convinced that the woman is now escaping the wallpaper with some regularity, and she is going to catch her.
That's it.
And so she's sort of dissociated to the point where she is alternating between identifying with her, like, sort of her captor and herself and the woman as herself.
And she wants to help free the woman, but then she doesn't want the woman to escape. And then the woman's out there, and she wants to stay in there, and all boundaries have completely dissolved.
She has come loose from reality.
Yeah.
And then she says, I have found out another funny thing, but I shan't tell it this time. It does not do to trust people too much. There are only 2 more days to get this paper off, and I believe John is beginning to notice. I don't like the look in his eyes. I heard him ask Jenny a lot of professional questions about me. She had a very good report to give. She said I slept a good deal in the daytime. John knows I don't sleep very well at night, for all I'm so quiet. He asked me all sorts of questions too, and pretended to be very loving and kind, as if I couldn't see through him. Still, I don't wonder he acts so, sleeping under this paper for 3 months. It only interests me, but I feel sure John and Jenny are secretly affected by it. And to me, that's the real turning point of the story is he pretended to be very loving and kind, as if I couldn't see through him. And then we get to the last day.
The last day is a doozy. I tell you what.
What happens on the last day? How does the last day kick off, Lee?
No. Let's see. The last day, and she's like, yay. She starts out with, hurrah. This is the last day, but it is enough, which is, she sees it as, John's out seeing his patients. He's not going to be back tonight. I've got a whole day to myself to solve this wallpaper thing. Yeah. And Jenny came up and was like, oh, shit, you've been tearing out the wallpaper, huh? And she's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And, like, somehow Jenny's just like, haha, okay.
Sure.
And, like, leaves her alone. And she, like, locks the door and has the room to herself for the rest of the day. Oh, and they've moved all the furniture out because they're going to be leaving.
Yep.
So they put the furniture back downstairs and everything as it was. So the room is empty except for the bed that's nailed down.
Yep.
And she has locked herself in the room. Jenny is just fine with it and leaves her alone. And she gets to solve the wallpaper puzzle however she sees fit at that time.
Uh-huh. Take us home, Lee.
Oh, by the way, so she's like, oh, it's so nice now that the room is bare again and there's nobody in here. And she's like, wow, these children really did a number on it. There's bite marks on the bed. And you're just like, ah! What?
You're like, wait a minute.
Then again, that didn't give me pause because we used to chew our furniture at my house, and all of the old tables from when we were kids have like bite marks all over them. So I was like, I could believe it.
Well, yeah, but so here's the thing. It's an adult-sized bed.
You know what? That is a good point. That's a great point, Grace.
It is an adult-sized bed.
And she says, this bedstead is fairly gnawed. And you're like, what?
Like, I don't think children were sleeping in that adult-sized bed.
No.
I don't think children young enough to be chewing on the furniture were sleeping in that adult-sized bed.
Yeah, that was nailed to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Good point.
Yep.
So, this is how the story ends.
Take us through the thrilling conclusion.
Okay. I have locked the door and thrown the key down into the front path. I don't want to go out, and I don't want to have anybody come in till John comes. I want to astonish him. I've got a rope up here that even Jenny did not find. If that woman does get out and tries to get away, I can tie her. But I forgot I could not reach far without anything to stand on. This bed will not move. I tried to lift and push it until I was lame, and then I got so angry I bit off a little piece at one corner, but it hurt my teeth. Then I peeled off all the paper I could reach standing on the floor. It sticks horribly, and the pattern just enjoys it. All those strangled heads and bulbous eyes and waddling fungus growths just shriek with derision. I'm getting angry enough to do something desperate. To jump out of the window would be admirable exercise, but the bars are too strong even to try. Besides, I wouldn't do it. Of course not. I know well enough that a step like that is improper and might be misconstrued. I don't like to look out of the windows even. There are so many of those creeping women, and they creep so fast. I wonder if they all come out of the wallpaper as I did. But I am securely fastened now by my well-hidden rope. You don't get me out in the road there. I suppose I shall have to get back behind the pattern when it comes night, and that is hard. It is so pleasant to be out in this great room and creep around as I please. I don't want to go outside. I won't, even if Jenny asks me to. For outside you have to creep on the ground, and everything is green instead of yellow. But here, I can creep smoothly on the floor, and my shoulder just fits in that long smooch around the wall, so I cannot lose my way. Why, there's John at the door. It is no use, young man, you can't open it. How he does call and pound. Now he's crying for an axe. It would be a shame to break down that beautiful door. John, dear, said I in the gentlest voice, the key is down by the front steps under a plantain leaf. That silenced him for a few moments. Then he said, very quietly indeed, open the door, my darling. I can't, said I. The key is down by the front door under a plantain leaf. And then I said it again, several times, very gently and slowly, and said it so often that he had to go and see, and he got it, of course, and came in. He stopped short by the door. What is the matter? He cried. For God's sake, what are you doing? I kept on creeping just the same, but I looked at him over my shoulder. I've got out at last, said I, in spite of you and Jane, and I've pulled off most of the paper, so you can't put me back. Now why should that man have fainted? But he did, and right across my path by the wall, so that I had to creep over him every time.
The end. So what do you make of the ending?
I mean, she just goes for it. She's just completely detached from reality.
Yeah, she's been possessed by the woman from the wallpaper.
Yeah, or she becomes
She
the
was
woman in the
always the woman in the wallpaper.
Yes. But she's out of the wallpaper now and you can't put her back.
And one of the truly great things about this story, you know, like I said earlier, is from a purely literary standpoint, you can read this any number of ways.
Oh, yeah.
It can be just a haunted house story if you want.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
But it can be.
Sure.
And when it came out, a lot of people were like, what a great haunted house story.
Like, oh, well, wasn't that spooky?
Charlotte sent a copy of the story to Dr. Weir Mitchell when it came out.
Okay. Wait. Before we get talking about Charlotte and
Yep.
her experiences, I want to say I really love the way the story ends. I love the physicality of it.
Mm-hmm.
How she's like, first of all, she says the word creep like 100 times, and I love it.
I have spent years trying to decide what physical movement exactly she is conveying by creeping.
It could be anything.
I'm assuming it's some kind of hands and knees.
Yeah.
You know, definitely on all fours.
She's down low, and she's
is low to the ground, yeah.
Well, and she says, oh, it'd be so embarrassing to creep outside in the daylight.
Yes.
Like, I love how she's like, that would be improper. You have to creep alone at night. I'm like...
Well, yeah, because she says that the woman she sees creeping in the garden always hides when a carriage goes by. And
Yeah.
she's like, of course, because you don't want anyone to see you. That'd be...
Yeah, that would be so embarrassing. Yeah. But she's... So, like, the story ends, and she's just, like, creeping around the perimeter of the room, you know, you assume rubbing her shoulder into that mark on the wall where it seems like someone else did the exact same thing. And John comes in and he faints, and she's like, oh, you fainted right where I was gonna creep. And she's like, and she just keeps going around and like she creeps right over him, and it's like it's just so physical, and like I love it.
I mean, she's become a caged animal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, she has become very straightforwardly a caged animal pacing its enclosure on all fours.
And she's not like, I want to hurt John, or I want, you know, she's just like, you fainted right in my creeping path, you jerk. Like, that was very inconsiderate.
Yeah. It reminds me very much of like the animals you see in like the depressing zoos. Not the good zoos.
Aren't they all? Sorry. Never mind.
Well, I mean,
that's just me. Never mind. Bigger discussion.
I'm of the opinion like the Smithsonian Zoo does good and important work.
Yes.
But like the Richmond Zoo, for example, not so much.
Yeah.
But like the depressing zoo, where there's just like
sad zoo,
they don't really have anything going on.
Yeah.
And you can see that the animals themselves are like vaguely dissociated.
Yeah.
And they're just going through the motions.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the vibe. Although it is also equally, it's very hard for me not, at the end of the story, every time I read it, it's very hard for me not to imagine her as one of the ghosts out of the like Japanese horror films who crawl like upside down and backwards.
Oh.
I don't think that's what Gilman had in mind, but
that's like super creep.
Yeah. But that's always where my head goes. Because that's creeping.
Yeah. That's the scariest kind of creeping, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's about as creepy as creeping gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, humans just don't like it when other humans move that way.
It's not natural.
No.
We're not supposed to do that.
No.
Our joints aren't meant for that kind of use.
So it's a really good story.
Yeah.
It's real. I highly recommend reading it because it is short, and it just there's no filler. It's just, I don't know. I read it several times because I have a really bad memory, and I was worried you would get here and ask me what I thought about it, and I'd be like, I don't remember. So I read it several times, and each time I read it, I was just like, damn, like this gets better and better.
There's a lot hiding in there.
Yes.
In the way of all great short fiction, and this is definitively a piece of great short fiction, and this is the best thing Charlotte Perkins Gilman ever wrote. This is like the peak of her career. It doesn't get any better than this. What?
So tell me if you know like how the story was received, or like tell me about Charlotte, or let's get into the context.
It was received quite well.
Okay.
Again, when it was first released, there was definitely a lot of like, what a scary ghost story.
Sure were a lot of ladies living in that wall.
One of the publishers who rejected it before it found publication, and it didn't take long for it to find publication, but he said something along the lines of, I couldn't live with myself if I made everyone as miserable as I just made myself after reading that story. It's like, it's too disturbing, but it's interesting. So it did cause a stir. Not everyone was completely f***ing stupid. She did name drop Weir Mitchell in the story. So people figured out what the goal was.
Yeah.
And it did. It caused a stir. It definitely got people talking about sort of the rest cure and how that, and whether that was a good idea.
So what exactly is the rest cure?
So
I always thought it sounded kind of nice. No?
Let's
take me to the seaside.
Let's talk about
I clearly don't know what it is.
Let's talk about Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Okay.
And what led her to write this story.
Okay, probably nothing personal.
So, our girl, our homie,
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte Perkins Gilman, very interesting woman. Growing up, had, much like several other sort of alumni of this podcast, had her first real infatuations with other girls.
Ooh la la.
Was probably, if I had to guess, at a minimum bisexual.
Woo.
Possibly would have been just an out-and-out lesbian.
Woo woo.
In the current era, it's always very hard to tell, because the thing is, when you don't grow up knowing what queerness is, people get horny. And you're going to get horny at other people.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, a certain number of people will get horny at the person that they can feasibly have sex with.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I do. Yeah. People do get horny.
People do get horny.
Yeah. So all we can say for sure is that Charlotte Perkins Gilman, I keep flipping it, got horny.
She did.
Yeah.
She very much did. She was one of those people who journaled exhaustively.
Okay.
So we have a lot of her.
We know how horny she
of her inner thoughts and feelings.
I love that.
But she was, whatever she wasn't straight. I can say that with the utmost confidence.
Got it.
And as a young woman, following her first sort of big disappointment, which was a woman named Martha, who she had a pretty passionate infatuation with, who then married a dude, which is just a thing that happens in the 1880s.
Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Uh-huh. She met a man named, oh God,
who cares? Sorry, I didn't mean that.
You will.
Okay.
What is his last? He's
Kyle.
He's such a, I dislike him so profoundly.
Brendan.
What is your last name? So she has her big first infatuation with Martha. It doesn't pan out. And then she meets Charles Walter Stetson, who becomes her first husband.
Congratulations.
And who she refers to as Walter.
Okay.
And now here's the thing about Walter. Walter is a type that we have met before, that we will meet again. Walter is a type that we unfortunately still are not rid of. Are you familiar with the sort of notion that even right-wing guys in the year of our Lord 2025, a lot of the time don't want tradwives? They want to take a woman who is like independent and has a life of her own, and who doesn't agree with them politically, and they want to turn her into the tradwife.
They want to tame the shrew?
There's this compulsion. Walter, very much that guy. So
real original Walter. Congratulations.
So when Walter and Charlotte meet, she is like, I'm going to be like a writer and like an advocate, and like she has like big career plans. Very funnily, if you read her writing, like I've read her autobiography before.
Oh, she has an autobiography.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
Prolific writer.
Cool.
She very much has the vibe, even at this juncture when she meets Walter, when she's quite young. She has the vibe a little bit of like your lesbian middle school gym teacher.
Mm.
It's a little brusque. It's a little like, pick yourself up, kiddo. Like she's very into exercise.
Yeah. Hey, me too.
She believes in having like very high standards for herself. Like she's very like, we do calisthenics in the morning and we cannot be stopped. Hop, hop, hop,
Yeah.
hop. Like
She's a gym butch.
she's a gym butch.
Yeah.
And Walter is an artist and poet
Mm-hmm.
who sort of draws her in part by, and I'm editorializing here, but it's my podcast, so I can do it.
Go on.
Draws her in by pretending to respect her as like a fellow artist and writer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fascinating because we have his journals too.
Okay.
And so, and if you want like the full gossip, there's a very good book called Wild Unrest by Helen Lefkowitz Horowitz,
Okay.
which does an amazing job sort of comparing what he's writing with what she's writing at the same time
Yes.
and goes through their marriage.
Yeah. Love that.
And so Charlotte's problem at this point is that she is horny,
Mm-hmm.
and she, because it's the 1880s, feels that she can only have sex if she gets married. Although apparently at one point she kind of tries to be like, do we need to get married? And he's like, because he wants to possess her.
Yeah.
And she's trying to be like, what if we got married and we lived in different houses? And he's like, absolutely not. And she's like, what if we got married? Like, she just keeps trying to like bargain with him.
Yeah.
Because she's horny.
She's like, let's open this thing up.
It's just so obvious that she's very horny.
Yeah.
She just wants to
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's writing about her. What does he say? As their courtship progresses, at one point he writes, "She wants to be treated more as a child now than as a woman. I could scarcely have foreseen so complete a subjugation of self, or abnegation, rather. And he, I know that I make her happy, that she rests in me as a child might in her father,
Ew.
that I fill all her mind with delight, and that her whole being, body, and soul thrills at my presence, my kiss, and my touch."
Ew.
So she's like,
Gross.
so to her face, he's like, I want a marriage of partner. Like, I want to be your partner and your equal, and we'll do artistic things together. And that's
Yeah.
how he's writing about her privately.
Yeah.
And later he goes on, and again, this is in his private journals. Like, he's not sending this to her.
Right.
And again, she's like getting into this, like later she gets into the suffragette movement. Like, she is into like women's rights
Yeah.
and women's wrongs.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he's writing, "Oh, this century is cruel. We are in a transition state. The new industries for women, the talk about them, has set their unused minds to work, and they see awry. They must go into the world and buffet. They will come back, I think, and find love better than all. Everyone knows that I believe in the utmost freedom for women, but that freedom is false, which makes them rebel against the ties of love and home."
I don't know what. Shut up.
And again, this is very like we've met this guy. You know this guy.
Oh yeah.
This guy has never died.
I've met this guy many times.
We have never gotten rid of this guy.
Sorry, I don't really have anything smart to say back to that because I honestly zoned out in the middle of it, which I apologize for.
And she breaks it off with him.
Oh really?
Yes, she dumps him.
Wait,
She's like,
were they married or no?
well,
Uh-oh. Oh, no. What do you mean, well? Go on.
so she keeps trying to negotiate with him.
Yeah.
Like, I want to you
Mm-hmm.
/ marry you, I guess. But I am unwilling to enter into a marriage that does not have like the boundaries that I think I need to feel like a person.
Yeah.
And they finally break it off because he's like, well, if I can't have you body and so, like, if I can't have you as a normal wife, then
As my little baby child wife.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Then I don't want it.
Yeah.
And they break it off. And this mother,
I just want to be like, girl, go. Get out. Run away.
he sends like a packet of sonnets to the Atlantic Monthly.
Huh?
Well, because remember, he's an aspiring poet and artist.
Yeah.
and they're rejected.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought you were saying... Never mind.
And then he writes to the editor of Scribner's, pretending to be a friend of his, asking for an honest opinion on his own sonnets, and gets it. And it is not flattering, because you know what? It turns out he's not.
He's not a good writer.
He's not a good writer.
Well,
He's not a good writer.
I'm surprised.
And when that happens, he throws a giant temper tantrum, and reading between the lines, it sounds a little bit like he's threatening to harm himself. But he very dramatically demands that Charlotte burn everything, because she has like poems and stuff of his. He demands that she burn all of his writing, and he's doing the thing, right, where he's doing this big self-effacing, and he basically shows up at her house to be like, I'm never gonna make, like, I'm never gonna be an artist. I'm a mess, and everyone hates me, and everything I've ever done is bad, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And she takes him into her arms and reassures him. Which begs the question of, like, which one of you is the child in this scenario?
Exactly. Oh my god.
Classic
projection.
Yeah. And he proposes, and she accepts.
Oh no. Oh no. Charlotte.
And they get married. And they immediately have a baby.
Okay. Well, she was horny.
She was horny.
Yeah, she were ovulating.
But man, she doesn't get long to enjoy it.
Okay.
They get married. She gets pregnant within like a couple of months of them getting married.
Yeah.
And then she has a baby. And this, I think, is really interesting. So I see this very often phrased as like postpartum depression. Like, people will say like, oh, she had postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And I am not saying that she did not. What I do find interesting is that it was not like immediate. Which is not to say that she wasn't dealing with some shit, but it's like a year from when the baby is born to when she really starts to struggle. And what it sounds like to me is that while this may have been sort of hormonal, chemical, deeply psychological, it sounds just as likely to me that there was nothing wrong with her on like a chemical level, but instead she rapidly found out that it sucks to be a full-time wife and mother when you're used to having like a active life of the mind, and when your husband is a big baby who contributes nothing and also doesn't make enough money for you to have any help.
Trapped.
Yeah. So the baby is born. They have pretty constant money problems for the rest of their marriage. At a certain point, her mother moves in with them, and once her mother moves in, Charlotte just falls apart. She basically hands off care of the infant to her mother, except for the breastfeeding, I guess, and has like a complete and total breakdown, where she is just not functioning, and her mom is running the household, basically.
Yeah, and Walter's just writing terrible sonnets, and not
making any money.
Not making any money.
Yes,
writing bad sonnets for free
while they get increasingly into debt.
Yeah.
Interestingly,
good.
At a certain point in desperation, she actually like weans the baby, puts the baby on formula, which I didn't even know you could do in the 1880s.
I didn't know that existed back then.
And goes on like a week's long trip to Pasadena, California to stay with some friends.
Oh.
And while she's there is fine.
Yeah. Interesting.
She has what amounts to like a miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
And it's like, huh.
Nobody understands why.
And then comes back and immediately falls apart again.
Yeah.
But what's really sad about it is that, much like the narrator of the story, Charlotte, reading like her writing at the time, and even a little bit her writing about it afterward, seems baffled by her own inability to cope.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which to me reads very much like a person who is fundamentally unwilling to identify the actual problem.
Yeah.
Like she cannot seem to admit to herself that her marriage is the issue.
Yeah.
And she just cycles through identifying almost any other problem that she possibly can to avoid identifying that one central problem.
Yeah.
And she gets sicker and sicker, and Walter is not helping.
Shocker.
She sees a woman doctor a few times, and it kind of sounds like the woman she saw was like, well, there's nothing really physically wrong with you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Walter first calls in a doctor named Dr. Knight, who apparently sort of ascribed to like an older method of what we would call, I guess, mental health care, which involved coming by twice a week to more or less be like, buck the up, Charlotte.
Snap out of it.
Stiff upper lip.
Yeah.
You're letting people down.
He just comes to your house, slaps you in the face, and is like, that'll be $200.
At various points, she is prescribed cocaine and various opiates.
Woo.
Suspended in alcohol tinctures.
Woo.
They do not work.
Party. Oh. Really?
The cocaine works for a little while and then abruptly stops working.
Don't it just?
And finally, in absolute desperation, she puts herself under the care of Dr. Weir Mitchell and is given the rest cure. Now, you asked earlier, what is the rest cure?
What is it?
The rest cure, as sort of put together by Weir Mitchell, and it didn't really end with him, and I think Weir Mitchell is an interesting person. I have no skin in the game in terms of like trying to defend him, because like him.
Yeah.
I do think he is a more nuanced figure than he's often given credit for. So he built his reputation working with quote unquote like malingerers during the Civil War, and sort of pioneered the idea that they weren't just bad people who didn't want to go get blown up because they were selfish.
A malingerer is like doesn't want to fight?
So a soldier who was wounded and is better now, but still doesn't want to go back.
Yeah. How dare they?
He was the one who was like, no, I think something has happened to these people's brains.
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
I think they're making the right choice, personally, but...
Yes, but...
What do I know?
It's sort of... He's laying the very early foundations for, like, shell shock, which becomes PTSD. And
right.
He sort of pioneers this idea that, like, okay, there is something happening here that is beyond just, like, a lack of character.
Yeah.
Which was kind of the idea at the time.
Revolutionary.
And longtime listeners of the show will remember Weir Mitchell also from when we talked about the West cure, which was what they did for men. Men got the West cure.
Oh, yeehaw. Yeah.
Yes. Where they
go play cowboys.
They got to go play cowboys and have gay sex in the wilderness.
Ooh.
And women got the rest cure.
Give me the West cure.
I know. Interestingly, later in his career, as he kind of evolved on this issue, he prescribed the West cure to at least one woman who apparently had a fabulous time. She came back being like, I know how to row and hunt and shoot and like...
I mean, it sounds great.
She came back and was like, I'm cured, doctor.
She's like, I went to camp.
You fixed me.
Yeah.
The rest cure, though, not so much. Because especially earlier in his career, and especially when Charlotte was under his care, his idea was that women were suffering from being mentally overtaxed.
Oh, they're too stupid.
Yes.
And they work so hard their little brains can't handle it.
Yes, that their minds were over-exercised and their bodies were under-exercised, and that they were falling apart as a result of this.
You know, sometimes it feels like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Unfortunately, instead of prescribing like a reasonable exercise regimen, his answer was to put them to bed deprive them of any intellectual stimulation whatsoever. So no writing letters, no reading,
Yeah.
no chit-chat.
Nope. Very dangerous.
And feed them. He just in bed and fed.
This sounds more like a fetish.
It does. It does have like what's the term for the force feeding fetish?
Isn't that?
I mean, I guess
that's
it's
not feeder. Gavache? No. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. It does have the vibe of like a
I think it's called feeders, but I'm not sure.
yeah, it's here. I'm reading here from Helen Lefkowitz.
Feeders
Horowitz's
and
book.
breeders. That's what it sounds like.
The rest cure involved extreme rest. A nurse moved a patient who wanted to turn in bed.
Oh, God.
Total seclusion. Nurses and masseuses were not to talk to patients. Rubbing serious enough to raise the body temperature. And feedings every 2 hours consisting of malt extract, raw beef, butter, and wine.
Raw beef.
In addition, cod liver oil was inserted up the rectum.
Oh,
And iron was
whoopsie.
and iron was concealed in the food fed to the patient.
Concealed.
Mm-hmm.
So many strange choices here.
Yes. Many of the women also apparently, it notes here, went through withdrawal because they had been on
Cocaine.
like, hard drugs.
Yeah.
And to Mitchell's credit, like he did not, the standard care at the time was to drug women within an inch of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
To Mitchell's credit, he didn't ascribe to that.
Yeah.
So at a minimum, at least they were like cogent.
Sure. Just like there's a happy balance here. We can have some bed, some drugs, little walking, little chit chat, lots of raw beef.
And yeah, so here's the thing. I see a lot of people. I see a lot of young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna flex my status here as a cranky old woman.
Do
I see a lot of young ladies on the Twitters and the TikToks talking about how they just want to live like a soft life and how they want like fetishizing what amounts to the rest cure, right?
Yeah.
The bed rotting, etc.
Yeah.
That is so f***ing bad for your mental health.
Yeah.
It is unbelievably dangerous for your mental health to just lie in bed day after day with no stimulation of any kind. Humans are not meant to live like that. No animal is meant to live like that. If you did that to a dog, they would lose their f***ing minds.
Yeah.
Like, we all enjoy a nice vacation now and again. I, for one, when I went on like every once in a while, I like to take a vacation where I'm not doing anything enriching, where I'm just like lying on a beach for 5 days.
I think.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But A of all, only when you're choosing it for yourself.
Yeah. That's the key.
And B of all, for a very finite period of time. So the first bitch I see out here romanticizing the rest cure, I won't do anything, but I'll be very disappointed.
So, so it's not just like going to the seaside and just hanging out.
No.
No. It's like
You're being put forcibly to bed and deprived of anything to do with your time.
okay. Except look at the wallpaper.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And now Charlotte undergoes the rest cure.
God damn.
Dr. Mitchell discharges her. And he discharges her, and according to her, he basically sends her home and is like, okay, you've gotten better. What you need to do now is just be like a full-time wife and mother and, no writing, no reading, no intellectual exercise of any kind. Just go be a mom all the time.
Yeah.
And she goes home and she falls apart.
Shocker.
Immediately.
Wow.
Again. It does not work.
Who could have foreseen this?
She spends one summer trying to be like the perfect wife and mother.
Yeah.
And apparently like every time her child gets sick and she can't cope. Like she just can't do it.
Yeah.
And again, she's doing this thing where she cannot seem to force herself to identify the real source of the issue.
Walter.
Which is Walter. But finally, luckily, she manages to, without ever identifying Walter as the problem in any real overt way, she slowly extricates herself from their marriage.
Oh.
Because she spends one summer trying to sort of be everything that she ought to be, quote unquote, and says that she very nearly ends herself.
Yeah.
And instead of doubling down and being like, clearly I just need to try harder to fix myself, thankfully, she was able to be like, maybe I'm not the problem.
Hold on.
Maybe society is the problem.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to realize.
And apparently one of the turning points is that she stops having obligation sex with Walter.
Good for you.
She starts only having sex with Walter when she wants to have sex with Walter.
Take that, Walt.
Which is much less often than he would like to have sex with her. Which, again, reading between the lines makes it sound like he was demanding sex from her a lot. And, like, that's kind of the starting point. And then she just kind of starts living more
She's like, oh, yeah.
more separately from him. Until ultimately they wind up getting divorced. And then, weirdly, he marries one of her best friends.
Sure.
And she's fine with it.
Sure.
She appears to have done this, like, you can have him.
Just like,
that is fine.
Girl, go nuts, girl.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And it is around then, I think it's after her divorce, or at least after her separation, that she writes the Yellow Wallpaper.
How common was divorce back then?
Not unheard of. Not very common, especially in people who were trying to kind of... It was scandalous, you know what I mean?
That's what I
it did a
thought.
number on your reputation. People
Yeah.
definitely, like, she caught shit. People were not impressed with there was the perception that she had abandoned her child, of all, because she kind of did.
Wow.
I mean, she did. She and her daughter had a, I think, reasonable relationship, and while Walter did take custody, which was considered standard at the time, it's not like she, like, never saw her again.
Yeah.
And later in life, when her daughter was, like, a little older, her daughter moved in with her for several years, I think.
Okay.
When she was, not like little.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't easy to obtain, and it was scandalous, but it wasn't, like, beyond the pale.
Okay. It happened sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Walter, at a certain point, didn't seem interested in standing in her way.
I mean, yeah, you gotta give up sometime.
It does kind of sound like he probably already had her friend lined up before the divorce.
He's like, maybe this will be my sexy little baby wife.
And she was, apparently.
I've said that too many times. Bully for you.
And yeah, so after her relationship has, like, well and truly collapsed and she's sort of living on her own again, she writes the Yellow Wallpaper, which you will notice is not a one-to-one portrayal of the rest cure. It's more a sort of amalgamation of all of the different ways that women were medically treated when they were behaving aberrantly, right? Because she talks a lot in the story about, like, the different tonics and things that she's taking, which definitely means drugs, to be clear. Like, that is probably meant to be, like, opiates, cocaine,
all of them.
Especially because a lot of these things had very innocent names. At one point, Charlotte herself was taking something that was called, like, Dr. So-and-so's Essence of Oats, which was just opium. It was just straight up opium.
Did we say oats? No, sorry, I meant opium.
And what the story is portraying, like...
God, the withdrawals. Sorry,
I know.
Go on.
But, like, Dr. Mitchell didn't advocate for the rest cure to be done at home, right? So, like, in the story when she has, like, having her doctor and her husband combined into one character, having her isolated in this country house, that is not, like, the, like, official quote-unquote rest cure.
Okay.
But it is.
Sure.
In essence. It's a composite, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a short story. Like, we're aiming for metaphor here, not for a concrete portrayal of exactly, like, what happened to me, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, when I was being given the rest cure by Dr. Mitchell.
Yeah.
But one of the things I find fascinating about the story is the way in which I think she allowed herself to write a really scathing indictment of her ex-husband without ever admitting that it was a really scathing indictment of her ex-husband by making the doctor and the husband the same character. And by doing that and name-dropping Weir Mitchell, it feels like she sort of displaced a certain amount of her anger at Walter onto Mitchell in a way that allowed her to escape the stigma of being like, how I, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, nearly died because of my turd of a husband.
Yeah.
And instead being like, oh no, Walter's a great guy. It just didn't work out for us.
For some reason.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Can't imagine why. Because at the end of the day, like, she's the one who sought out Mitchell for treatment.
Oh.
Because she was so desperate to figure out what was wrong with her.
Yeah.
Walter was the one who was making her feel like something was wrong with her.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Which brings me to just like how unbelievably suffocating marriage was. And still can be.
Sure.
Depending on the man that you're married to.
Yeah. Well, or when it becomes your entire role and personality and that's all you're ever expected to achieve in life. And then you get married and it's like, well, now what?
One of the things that I think you can get out of this story and that I think is a very real takeaway is that marriage and motherhood of this sort of ultra traditional variety where it is expected to be your entire reason for being and basically your entire sense of self is, especially for a woman who went into it having creative passions and kind of a life of the mind, marriage and motherhood is one big rest cure, right?
Oh.
It is a dramatic and abrupt winnowing down of your intellectual stimulation to almost nothing. Because your only concern overnight is the well-being of your husband and your child, and neither of them really needs much from you intellectually.
Yeah.
They need you to be horny and compliant on the one hand, and endlessly nurturing and compliant on the other hand.
Yeah.
And other than that, they just need you to cook and clean and keep the house running.
Wow.
So it's, it's kind of the intellectual equivalent of being like, just get in bed.
Yes.
Just get in bed and hold still.
Very interesting comparison. I don't have much to add. I think you made a good point.
And yeah, so I mean, the good news is that Weir Mitchell revised his methods.
Oh, he did?
He did.
Oh.
Whether or not this was because of...
We're going to try something different, Mitchell.
Hey. Whether this was because of Charlotte or not, we'll never know.
He's like, it has nothing to do with the story.
He never overtly acknowledged receiving the manuscript, but he definitely read it. She took credit for it.
She took credit for him changing?
Yes.
Love that.
She was, how do I put this? I admire Charlotte Perkins Gilman tremendously. I don't know if I would have liked her interpersonally.
Sure. She sounds intense.
Really intense.
Yeah.
Really intense and like very, definitely like a not small amount of myth making around her. Like she's related to like Harriet Beecher Stowe. So she's got this like old New England, like
related, like family related?
Yeah.
Oh.
She's got this like old New England, like firebrand, like,
yeah.
Like she decided very young that she was going to like change things.
Okay.
The reason that a lot of her writing is not very popular outside of the Yellow Wallpaper is that it is not very good literarily.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting one called If I Were a Man that is about exactly what it sounds like.
There's a great Sierra song.
It's a very good story in terms of being like an excellent example of like early queer lit because it is just like so trans.
Yeah. So trans period.
I was about to be like trans coded. No, it's just so trans.
Yeah.
You're just like, Charlotte, I know you wanted top surgery and I'm sorry you couldn't get it.
I see you, bro.
I see you, bro.
Yeah.
But it just, a lot of her stuff is just so didactic. It is so overwhelmingly didactic. It's not very fun to read.
Yeah.
This story, and it reminds me a little bit of, weirdly, I said something similar in our episodes about Alexander Solzhenitsyn, because similarly, The Yellow Wallpaper and One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich are both, in my opinion, the best things that these authors ever wrote, and it's because they wrote them in the midst of probably the great sort of existential crises of their lives, which made them much, much more tender and empathetic than they would ever be again.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Which allowed them to create these like really breathtaking pieces of like literary fiction that can echo down to us in ways that their other work just doesn't, because they're so much more preoccupied with the mission of what they're writing.
That makes sense. I get that. Yeah, I could see it.
This story is as tender as Charlotte Perkins Gilman will ever be. And it is one of the all-time great pieces of short fiction.
It's great.
Which leads us, or leaves us, with the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which, this episode was originally going to be a little bit more of like a page to screen, which we like to do around, spooky season. But I did not realize that the Yellow Wallpaper has never been adapted for film with a budget.
Yeah, so apparently there's like a short from the 70s.
Uh-huh.
We didn't watch that.
No.
There's a Netflix one from 2011.
To be clear, it can be found on Netflix. Netflix had nothing to do with the production.
Oh, okay.
It was not made by Netflix.
No. Okay. Never mind. There was one from 2011 that was very loosely inspired by the idea of the thought of the Yellow Wallpaper and a few other things. And then there's a version from 2021.
Yes.
That was like a very small budget, like indie movie that tried to, it's full length, it's feature length.
Yep.
That's the one that we watched, and it like tries to adhere very closely to the story. However, turning a short story into a feature like film necessitates a little bit of stretching it out. So that is the one that we watched.
And it
was a movie.
It tried admirably to do the thing that it set out to do.
Okay. So I don't want to like, you said this earlier. We don't want to like shit on someone else's creative and artistic pursuits.
Yes. Making movies is hard.
It is hard.
And expensive. And this was clearly like a labor of love.
Yeah.
And I respect and admire it for that.
Things that I liked about it. Beautiful setting.
Yes. I liked the cinematography.
Cinematography is pretty good.
I thought a lot of the shots were very thoughtful.
Yes. It was, they tried the costumes. They did stick well to the story.
I thought the script itself was good.
Yeah.
The script itself was good.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job with the script. There were some fundamental things that I think perhaps they were a little confused by when they adapted the script. The sister is overtly called his sister, but they seem to have misunderstood what it means to refer to a woman as an excellent housekeeper.
Yeah.
In the era, because they've turned her into an actual servant.
Yeah, she's like a maid.
Which is a little confusing. That is not how that would have worked.
They really focused on the postpartum depression of it all.
Yes.
Which I thought, at first I was like, this isn't like exactly what the story is like. But then like as it went on and like by the end I was like, you know what? I appreciate this interpretation. Like I think that this is a worthwhile interpretation to explore. And I think they did a good job expanding on, the baby is mentioned literally twice in the story. And then you honestly kind of forget about it because you're so obsessed with the woman in the wall. So they really focused on the interpretation that this is postpartum depression. And
I think that is especially, that is a thread that feels especially relevant and makes sense to tease out in this, this movie was made in 2021. That feels like a very relevant thread to tease out right now, specifically like the postpartum depression, because we have so much stuff happening with women's reproductive rights and, women not having the choice as to whether or not they want to have a child.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if everyone remembers, but 2020, there has been a several year period now where all horror films have pregnancy in them. Can't imagine why.
No. I will say I liked the opening scene.
Where she throws the baby.
Yeah. They're like riding in a carriage up to the house that they're going to chill at for the summer, and you're like, oh, that's nice. They're just looking out the window. The baby starts crying, and she just like yeets it out the window, and I was like, whoa, that didn't happen in the story. And then it turns out that she was just imagining doing that.
Yeah.
I think. But that sets it up as a little different. And obviously, and you know what? I appreciate that it's a difficult undertaking in general, turning this story into a movie, because the story is about mental deterioration. It takes place entirely within someone's mind.
Yeah.
And trying to translate that into film is very difficult. And they tried, and I respect them for that.
I think the only way that you could make a satisfying film adaptation of this story would be to just make the ghost story version.
That's what I was expecting. I thought it would be ghost story version.
Yeah, so did I, actually. But you'd have to. That's the only, you would have to literalize.
You'd have to have a budget.
You would have to have
for
budget.
Special effects.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you would have to really literalize the notion of the woman in the wall.
Yeah.
And rely on good writing to ask the fundamental question of whether this is real or just happening in her mind, which I've seen done well.
I think it could be done. It would just take a much larger budget.
Yes, it would.
Do we want to give spoilies?
I mean, yeah.
To the end? Okay, so in the very end.
Yeah, that is my other kind of, well, I don't know if it's a complaint, but that is the one really big place where this movie veers off from the story.
Yeah.
Is that she kills herself.
Yeah, she kills herself in the very, very end. But she is also, when her husband busts in the door and is like, oh my God, what are you doing? She is both dead, but also still creeping around the wall.
Yes.
So, and still narrating.
Yes. Which is her ghost?
Her spirit or her mind or her ghost or...
And that was the one thing where I was like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that particular bit of license taking.
Yeah.
I suppose if you really wanted to, you could tease that out of the story itself. I could see an undergrad writing a spirited paper arguing that the narrator of the Yellow Wallpaper is dead at the end of the Yellow Wallpaper, for sure. It is not a totally invalid thing to pull from the story, but you'd have to work for it.
I don't know. That's a little more a ghost story to me.
As one of my professors likes to say when I was in grad school, you'd be doing a lot of work off the page for that one.
Putting a lot of words in her mouth.
But you could make an argument that this is some kind of cyclical thing and that she was the ghost all along and that she's dead, and you see what I mean? You could absolutely do that kind of slipping through time thing.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's there.
There's a lot of women in the wall.
There's a lot of women in the wall.
They be creeping. Women be creeping.
So I don't think it's entirely unfounded. I do think it's a direction. It is a direction to take the story in.
Yeah.
It was a bold move.
I start with the movie knowing that it's a labor of love. It's low budget. I started out not being a big fan, and by the end I was like, you know what? You did the thing.
Yeah. It's quite long. I can't say
could have been a little shorter
wholeheartedly that I would recommend it necessarily.
It's a lot of staring.
But I don't think it's
well, because the whole story is just her staring at wallpaper. And it's
That's
like, let's
the
turn
thing.
this into a 90-minute movie. She's going to be staring at the wallpaper for about 75% of it,
Yeah.
not talking.
With a lot of bug noises.
Ugh, the soundtrack. I didn't like the soundtrack.
Insects.
It was like electronic.
Insect sounds were a surprisingly substantial part of the soundtrack.
I didn't mind the insect sounds because it's like out in the country in the summer. But like when creepy things happened, it was this jarring electronic soundtrack. And I was like,
Yeah, with bugs laid over it.
this is not...
They kept laying the bugs over the electronic, and it was not working for me.
the cicadas.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to shit on it too much because I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it.
that's true. Neither of us could make a
But if
a
I
movie.
did, I wouldn't say my lines the way that person said their lines.
There we go. There's the little bit of professional shade that I was waiting for.
Don't do a period piece.
Uh-huh. Yes.
If you're not...
Finish your
If you're
thought.
gonna talk like a Kardashian, reading a memo.
Yes.
That is my opinion,
It's a worthy opinion.
and I will leave it at that.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, now I feel mean.
I think that is a fair piece of criticism, and I don't think it's mean. I think it's just observant.
Okay.
It's, we
Put a little emotion in the lines. That's all I'm saying.
there we go.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is getting on another.
Try to say them the way people talk. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm done.
This is another little soapbox for me, but like, criticism is good, actually.
Okay, okay.
We as a culture have gotten far, far too carried away with this idea that we must be, the lit people enjoy things contingent have had their time in the sun, and they've nearly destroyed culture as a byproduct of it.
But what if
So-
I want everybody to like me?
It's time for us to have criticism again.
I don't ever want anybody to not like me. I
That
want
is
everybody to like me.
Impossible.
It's everybody likes me.
That's called having an anxiety disorder, my love.
How dare you? How dare you?
And that is beyond the scope of this podcast or the rest cure to address. That's something you're gonna have to work on.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna go take some cocaine about it
Fair, honestly.
in a nice little tincture.
You and all
In
of
bed.
the straight men in California
Oh yeah,
addressing your anxiety disorders with cocaine.
yeah.
Yep.
Woo woo.
Ski you. Hoop, scoop, goddamn.
Yay!
All right. So that was the Yellow Wallpaper. I have to admit that this was less spooky than I sort of expected this episode to be.
Our discussion or the story?
Our discussion.
Oh, sorry.
No, there's nothing to apologize for.
Real life is spooky enough.
Yeah.
How about that?
Patriarchy was the spookiness all along.
Yeah. If you read the story, listener, if you read the story yourself, which it's short and it's free online, it's in the public domain. You can find it anywhere. You will be spooked,
It is, yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty frightening.
and then come back here and listen to the
yeah.
analysis.
The real horror is how relevant it all still is, especially with the increasing return to the pathologizing of queer and trans people and women who don't want to be tradwives.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Um,
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the movie. You ever seen the movie Gaslight?
The
Great
original?
The original.
I actually haven't.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Great movie. Bonus appearance by young Angela Lansbury as a
Ooh.
sassy maid.
Love that.
Love her. Great movie. Basically just being gaslit.
Yeah. That's where the term comes from.
It is.
Yeah.
But it happens also in this story.
It does.
Yeah, I don't know, just being lied to and told things and that aren't true and being told you're losing your mind and then kind of losing your mind a little bit. I think we all can relate.
Yep. Well, and I meant to kind of make this point earlier, but I really worry about how much we are returning to, like I said, the pathologizing of people's behavior when they cannot or will not reconcile themselves to these incredibly broken systems.
And people are having actually kind of reasonable reactions to unreasonable demands.
Yeah, and like, we've done this before. We already did this, right? it was the rest cure, and then it was lobotomies, and then it was Valium, and then it was, you know, you name it.
Yeah.
And it was for queer people, it was chemical castration, and it was conversion therapy and physical and emotional abuse and institutionalization for everyone.
Yeah.
And we had just started to take these like really baby steps away from doing that to people, and it feels like it is coming rushing back at us at a speed that is astonishing and very frightening.
Yes it is.
We are not far enough from the 1880s for my comfort.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
So that's the real horror story this Halloween.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Go. I don't know. I got nothing.
Hey, we got each other.
We do.
You crazy kid.
Love you, babe.
Love you too.
So
that's why spooky season is fun, because it's scaring yourself in a controlled way.
Yay! So yeah, this is our spooky season hiatusode. And just a reminder that the other thing that I am doing once a month is posting to the Substack.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's called The Epilogue. If I didn't read it, it is at gracetodd.substack.com. That is gracetodd.substack.com.
Some good writing. It'll get your thinky brain going.
I've got some writing there about Solzhenitsyn. I wrote an essay about convenient death in Hilary Mantel's writing.
That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to keep up with what's going on. Lee, you have any final thoughts?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Maybe we shouldn't starve and bomb children. How about that?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is just off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other real horror story this season.
Take care of each other.
Genocide.
Woo!
Yeah. All right.
We need each other.
We do.
Take care of each other.
Community.
We're going to get through it.
Love.
Yes.
Don't put each other through the rest cure.
No.
Take care of each other instead. Make each other soup.
Yes.
More
soup.
Don't let your friends bed rot to an unhealthy extent.
Yeah.
Rest is good, but within reasonable parameters.
Give and accept help.
There is a fine line between restorative rest and wallowing.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know it in our heart of hearts if we will only be honest with ourselves.
You wallow sometimes, and then when you've had enough wallowing, you get back up.
And you make some soup.
You do what you can with what you got where you are.
I made a sausage and gnocchi soup the other day that was just phenomenal.
No kidding.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's it.
That's a wrap.
Cut it.
Lee, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank all of you so much for being here. And as always, if you can, this week, this month, this pay period, consider supporting a living author. Because especially now, they could really, really use the love.
Yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Didn't Read It was created, written, researched, and recorded by me, Grace Todd. Maddie Wood is our co-producer and social media maven. Our theme song is Books 2.0, written, performed, and recorded by William Albritton. Our logo was designed and illustrated by the incredibly talented Jess Versus. Reach out to us with questions, concerns, or academic scrutiny at didntreaditpod@gmail.com.